Disclaimer: the information provided in this video regarding international travel, luxury hotel accommodations, financial expenditures, and currency exchange rates is intended strictly for educational and entertainment purposes only. Planning and executing high-ticket international travel involves substantial financial commitments, fluctuating foreign exchange rates, and varying international regulations. The content discussed does not constitute professional financial advice, travel agency consultation, or legal counsel. Prices, hotel policies, and travel advisories are subject to rapid change. Viewers are strongly advised to conduct their own independent due diligence, consult with certified travel advisors, and verify all visa requirements, health advisories, and financial implications before making any bookings or financial commitments. Historical trends in luxury travel satisfaction and potential outcomes discussed in this video do not ensure any specific personal experience or financial return on investment. Imagine spending $25,000 on what is supposed to be the trip of a lifetime to Tokyo, Japan. You endure a 14-hour flight from Los Angeles, navigate the overwhelming labyrinth of Narita International Airport, and finally arrive at a globally recognized, 5-star luxury hotel in the heart of Shinjuku. You expect the red carpet. You expect the pinnacle of high-end comfort. Instead, you are handed the keys to a room that, while meticulously clean, is barely larger than a standard walk-in closet in a Texas suburb. The bed is rock-hard by American standards. The concierge, while unfailingly polite, cannot secure a reservation at any of the exclusive sushi counters you spent months researching because you failed to understand the intricate, relationship-based hierarchy of Tokyo fine dining. Your entire vacation, funded by years of saving or a hefty corporate bonus, is immediately derailed by a catastrophic mismatch between American luxury expectations and Japanese hospitality realities. This is not a hypothetical scenario. Case studies from premium travel advisors indicate that a staggering percentage of first-time American luxury travelers to Japan return home mildly disappointed, not because Tokyo lacks luxury, but because they fundamentally misunderstood how luxury operates in this specific metropolis. The cultural concept of omotenashi, which is the Japanese philosophy of anticipating a guest's needs before they even articulate them, often translates into a subtle, understated elegance that clashes violently with the American desire for overt, sprawling, and highly customizable extravagance. When an American tourist books a $10,000 suite, the expectation is absolute dominance over the environment. Massive floor plans, English-speaking staff anticipating aggressive itineraries, and the ability to brute force access to the city's best experiences through sheer financial capital. Tokyo does not work this way. Wealth alone does not unlock the city. The hotel you choose serves as your fundamental operating system for the entire trip. Choose incorrectly, and you will find yourself isolated in a beautiful but impenetrable fortress, unable to penetrate the true cultural fabric of the city. We are about to dissect the top 3 luxury hotels in Tokyo specifically calibrated for the ultimate American tourist. However, there is a catch. Hotel number 2 on our list is considered by many to be the absolute crown jewel of Asian hospitality, but if you mistakenly book a room on the western-facing side of the property without requesting the specific architectural tier we will outline later in this video, your experience will be completely compromised by a severe lack of privacy and an acoustic nightmare. I am going to reveal exactly which rooms to avoid and, more importantly, how to leverage the concierge teams at these 3 specific properties to unlock a version of Tokyo that 99% of wealthy tourists never get to see. Let us address the exact problem this deep dive masterclass solves for you today. As an American traveler looking to conquer Tokyo, your primary enemy is not the language barrier. Your primary enemy is friction. Friction in transportation, friction in communication, and most dangerously, friction in accessing elite experiences. You do not want to spend your precious vacation days trying to decipher complex subway maps in a tuxedo, nor do you want to rely on generic internet lists to find a decent Wagyu steak. You want seamless, frictionless, uncompromising luxury that bridges the gap between Western comforts and Eastern mystique. This script is engineered to provide you with a tactical blueprint for achieving exactly that. We are moving far beyond superficial reviews of thread counts and lobby aesthetics. We are going to analyze historical trends in American tourist satisfaction at these specific properties. We will examine case studies of how the physical location of your hotel in Tokyo dictates your daily operational efficiency. Tokyo is not a single city. It is a sprawling, decentralized megalopolis composed of distinct wards, each functioning as its own sovereign ecosystem. Booking a luxury hotel in Marunouchi versus booking one in Roppongi Hills fundamentally alters the trajectory of your entire trip. If your goal is high-end corporate networking and proximity to imperial history, your choice is vastly different than if your goal is elite nightlife and contemporary art. Furthermore, we will break down the crucial differences in physical amenities. American tourists have very specific biological and cultural requirements when traveling. We generally prefer expansive bathroom layouts, highly responsive climate control systems that can drop room temperatures to freezing on demand, and continuous access to substantial, recognizable room service options. Many internationally renowned Japanese properties fail to meet these specific American metrics. By the end of this comprehensive analysis, you will possess a sophisticated understanding of exactly which of these three elite properties aligns perfectly with your individual travel psychology. You will know exactly how to bypass the amateur mistakes that plague high-net-worth individuals visiting Japan for the first time. You will be equipped with the precise vocabulary and strategic knowledge necessary to secure the optimal room categories, leverage the specific strengths of each hotel's unique concierge network, and position yourself perfectly within the city's complex geography. We are going to deconstruct the architecture, the service philosophy, the geographic leverage, and the culinary access of each property step by step. Let us begin by analyzing the fundamental paradigm shift you must undergo before you even click the reservation button. Starting with a deep dive into the historical evolution of Western luxury brands adapting to the Japanese market over the last 3 decades, and how that evolution directly impacts the square footage of the room you are about to book. To understand why your premium suite might feel like a high-end closet, we must examine the economics of Tokyo real estate during the international hotel boom of the late 90s and early 2000s. When heritage Western hospitality brands first began planting their flags in districts like Shinjuku and Roppongi, they were forced into a harsh mathematical reality. The cost per square foot of land in central Tokyo is astronomically high. To maintain profit margins while offering the requisite lobby grandeur and Michelin-starred dining outlets, these global brands fundamentally compromised on the one metric Americans value above all else, which is personal private square footage. The standard entry-level luxury room in the United States typically hovers around 500 square feet. In Tokyo, historical trends show that many renowned 5-star properties condense their baseline rooms to a mere 350 square feet. The immediate potential outcome for an American traveler is a profound sense of claustrophobia upon arrival. Imagine if Robert, a senior corporate attorney from Dallas, Texas, arrives in Tokyo for a 2-week vacation in the current year of 2026. Robert is biologically and culturally conditioned to expansive environments. He books a $5,000 a week stay at a legacy European hotel brand in Ginza, assuming the prestigious name equates to an American standard of spatial luxury. He opens the door to his room and immediately discovers that his 2 large suitcases consume the entirety of the walkable floor space at the foot of the bed. There is no dedicated lounge area. The work desk is a narrow shelf facing a wall, and the bathroom requires a strategic sideways maneuver to navigate. The psychological friction begins instantly. Jet lag combined with physical confinement creates an underlying irritability that bleeds into every single tourist activity he undertakes. The hotel, rather than serving as a sanctuary of recovery, becomes a source of physical stress. Japanese luxury historically prioritizes meticulous material quality, flawless service execution, and profound aesthetic subtlety over sheer volume. American luxury demands volume as the non-negotiable baseline. This profound cultural friction is exactly why hotel number 1 on our list is the Aman Tokyo. We select this specific property not merely for its undeniable aesthetic dominance, but because its architectural mandate aggressively solved the American square footage problem. Occupying the top 6 floors of the Otemakai Tower, the Aman Tokyo completely defied the historical trends of the city when it was designed. The entry-level rooms offer an astonishing 71 square meters of space, which translates to over 760 square feet. This is larger than many luxury apartments in Manhattan. For the ultimate American tourist, this sheer volume of space provides the necessary psychological baseline for comfort and decompression. After spending 10 hours navigating the sensory overload of neon-lit districts like Akihabara or the chaotic pedestrian scrambles of Shibuya, your brain requires an expansive void to reset. Aman Tokyo provides this void through a brilliant architectural utilization of the traditional Japanese ingawa concept, which is a wooden passageway that blurs the boundary between interior and exterior spaces. But here, it is scaled massively to accommodate the Western physical presence and preference for grand proportions. Let us deeply analyze the specific hardware integrations that make this property an operational fortress for American travelers. Case studies drawn from elite travel agency feedback consistently highlight that wealthy United States tourists experience immense anxiety regarding climate control and plumbing infrastructure when traveling through Asia. Many heritage Japanese properties utilize centralized, eco-friendly heating and cooling systems that legally cannot drop the ambient room temperature below a certain threshold. Americans, particularly during the brutally oppressive humidity of the Tokyo summer, demand the ability to freeze their rooms down to 68 degrees Fahrenheit within minutes. The Amon Tokyo features fiercely independent, high-velocity climate control systems in every suite that respond instantaneously to your exact thermodynamic preferences. Furthermore, the bathroom architecture is a masterpiece of cross-cultural engineering. The centerpiece is a deep-soaking black basalt tub placed directly against floor-to-ceiling glass, offering panoramic views of the Imperial Palace Gardens or the distant silhouette of Mount Fuji. However, unlike traditional, delicate Japanese ryokan plumbing, the water pressure and temperature recovery systems are heavily industrialized to meet aggressive American standards of immediate gratification. You also will not need to pack a tangled mess of voltage converters, as the room features heavily integrated, universal power architecture, hidden seamlessly behind sliding panels constructed of authentic, pale camphor wood. Every single detail in this property, from the firmness of the custom king-size mattresses to the height of the stone countertops, has been mathematically calibrated to remove the physical friction that Americans typically encounter in Japan. However, while Amon Tokyo mathematically solves the spatial and hardware equations, its location presents a massive, highly specific strategic hurdle regarding ground transportation logistics. The hotel is situated in Otemakai, which is the undisputed apex of Japanese corporate finance. Beneath the tower lies a subterranean labyrinth of subway tunnels and corporate basements connecting over 5 different major train lines. If you do not know the exact pedestrian pathways and specific elevator banks to utilize, you will easily lose hours of your carefully planned itinerary wandering through an endless underground city of men in dark suits. This extreme isolation from the street-level energy of Tokyo perfectly leads us to the critical geographic mistakes most tourists make. While Otemakai offers absolute serenity, it severely lacks immediate, walkable access to elite nightlife and spontaneous culinary exploration. This specific geographic vulnerability is the exact reason why our second hotel is completely different. Hotel number 2 is widely considered the single most polarizing luxury property in the entire country, possessing a highly restricted, secret entrance that completely bypasses the local paparazzi and massive crowds. It sits directly on top of the most aggressive nightlife district in Tokyo, but if you do not know the specific code phrase to give the concierge upon arrival, you will be completely locked out of the most exclusive and heavily guarded tier of experiential luxury this entire metropolis has ever constructed. Welcome to the intense, hyperactive, and often misunderstood ecosystem of the Grand Hyatt Tokyo, embedded directly within the colossal Roppongi Hills development. This specific property is widely considered the single most polarizing luxury hotel in Japan because it aggressively rejects the hushed, minimalist serenity found in places like Otemakai or Kyoto. Instead, it fully embraces the chaotic, high-voltage energy of its surrounding district. Roppongi is the undisputed historical and modern epicenter of international nightlife, foreign embassies, and high-net-worth expatriate culture. It is loud, it is fast, and it is entirely unforgiving to the unprepared traveler. The secret entrance we mentioned previously is not a hidden physical door in an obscure alleyway, but rather a highly strategic operational protocol. When you arrive at the main circular driveway, the vast majority of tourists are seamlessly funneled into the chaotic main lobby, which often resembles a high-end international airport terminal due to the sheer, relentless volume of global business traffic. If you simply stand in that standard check-in line, you immediately surrender your operational leverage. The specific phrase you must deploy to the senior bell staff immediately upon stepping out of your black car service is that you are requesting the Grand Club Private Arrival Assessment. Uttering this specific targeted phrase instantly changes your internal classification within their highly complex guest management matrix. You bypass the main lobby friction entirely and are immediately escorted via a dedicated, keycard-restricted elevator directly to the upper floor club lounge for a private, seated check-in process accompanied by personalized culinary amenities and sweeping, unobstructed panoramic views of the Tokyo Tower. However, bypassing the initial lobby friction is only the very first step in successfully surviving and dominating this property. You must mathematically calculate the exact geographic positioning of your suite, or you will inevitably fall victim to a severe acoustic nightmare that ruins hundreds of high-dollar American vacations every single year. Historical trends regarding United States tourist feedback at this specific property highlight a massive, undeniable discrepancy in guest satisfaction based entirely on which specific side of the building they occupy. The fundamental architectural flaw lies on the western-facing side of the hotel. This particular facade directly overlooks the Shudo Expressway Route 3, which is a massive, elevated, multi-lane highway artery that essentially functions as the primary central nervous system for commercial transport across the entire southern half of the city. In the United States, luxury properties situated anywhere near major highways utilize heavily reinforced, multi-layered acoustic glass that creates an impenetrable sonic barrier, turning the room into a sensory deprivation chamber. In Japan, historical building codes and incredibly strict earthquake safety regulations often necessitated the use of lighter, more flexible window framework materials that inherently transmit low-frequency vibrations. The potential outcomes of booking a western-facing room are absolutely disastrous for your already fragile circadian rhythm. While the regular daytime street traffic is just a constant, manageable hum, the real destruction occurs exactly between the hours of 2 and 4 in the morning when massive commercial freight trucks and heavily modified street racing vehicles utilize that specific elevated highway. The low-frequency rumble easily penetrates the exterior glass, completely bypasses the heavy motorized blackout curtains, and resonates directly into the solid wood frame of your custom mattress. You must explicitly demand an eastern-facing room looking toward the Tokyo Tower, or a northern-facing room viewing the tranquil Mori Garden, to guarantee the absolute acoustic isolation required for jet lag recovery. Imagine if Marcus, a senior software architect from Seattle, Washington, travels to Tokyo in this current year of 2026. Marcus has spent precisely $18,000 on a meticulously planned 10-day itinerary, and chooses the Grand Hyatt specifically for its immediate, walkable proximity to high-end omakase restaurants and late-night craft cocktail lounges. He completely ignores the directional exposure of his room during the booking process, and accepts a premium western-facing suite on the 15th floor. On his very first night, heavily burdened by a brutal 14-hour time zone difference, he finally manages to fall into a deep sleep at 9 in the evening. At exactly 3 in the morning, a massive convoy of heavy commercial transport trucks passes directly over the Shudo Expressway outside his window. The sustained vibrational noise completely shatters his deep rapid eye movement sleep cycle. He spends the next 4 hours staring blankly at the ceiling, experiencing extreme physical fatigue, mixed with profound, irreversible buyer remorse. By the time he steps out for his highly anticipated, strictly non-refundable breakfast reservation at the world-famous Tsukiji Outer Market, his cognitive function is severely impaired, and he is deeply, visibly irritable. His entire perception of Japanese luxury is permanently ruined not by poor customer service, but by a catastrophic failure to understand the local architectural relationship with dense urban infrastructure. This specific case study perfectly illustrates why American travelers cannot simply rely on generic brand prestige alone when booking accommodations in this hyper-dense megalopolis. You must actively engineer your internal environment by firmly dictating the specific parameters of your physical placement within the building structure before you ever board your flight. Once you have secured the geographically correct, eastern-facing room and heavily utilized the Grand Club check-in protocol, you are perfectly positioned to leverage the single greatest asset this property possesses, which is its elite, highly connected, internationally certified concierge team. American tourists fundamentally misunderstand how concierge desks operate within the Japanese luxury sector. In the United States, a hotel concierge is very often viewed as a simple transactional directory, someone who simply makes rapid phone calls to secure theater tickets or dinner tables based entirely on immediate public availability. In Tokyo, the luxury concierge operates on a strictly relational economy built over decades of mutual respect, reciprocal professional favors, and profound institutional trust. Top-tier, Michelin-starred sushi counters in Ginza are exclusive. Hidden speakeasy bars in Ebisu do not care at all about your American Platinum credit card limit. They care exclusively about the personal, unblemished reputation of the individual making the introduction. When the Grand Hyatt concierge calls a highly restrictive, 6-seat Wagyu beef restaurant on your behalf, they are essentially pledging their own professional honor and their family name that you will arrive perfectly on time, behave with impeccable cultural etiquette, and respect the master chef's artistic process. If you approach this elite concierge team with a demanding spreadsheet of aggressive requests on your first day, they will politely stonewall you with generic, widely available tourist recommendations. You must actively build deep rapport. You must engage them months before your actual arrival through formal, highly deferential email correspondence, clearly stating your immense respect for Japanese culinary traditions. By completely submitting yourself to their highly structured guidance rather than aggressively demanding immediate compliance, you unlock potential outcomes that include direct access to private dining rooms and off-market cultural experiences that literally do not exist anywhere on the public internet. The Grand Hyatt provides the ultimate high-energy, culturally immersive base camp for the aggressively social, networking-focused traveler. However, what if your primary goal is not energetic nightlife and corporate networking? What if you require a level of absolute, suffocating discretion so intensely private that the hotel actively refuses to even put a visible sign on the front door to deter the general public? That brings us directly to hotel number 3, which operates under a psychological framework so bizarre, silent, and intimidating that many wealthy American tourists literally attempt to cancel their non-refundable reservations upon realizing the extreme behavioral restrictions placed upon them the very moment they step into the hidden lobby. Let us aggressively examine why this invisible sanctuary requires an absolute, unconditional surrender of your Western identity before you even reach the check-in desk. Welcome to Hashinoya, Tokyo. Located deep within the dense concrete canyons of the Otemakai Financial District, this property aggressively rejects the globalized cookie-cutter blueprint of five-star hospitality. There is no grand, sweeping driveway filled with exotic sports cars. There is no massive, glittering chandelier visible through floor-to-ceiling glass doors. In fact, if you do not know exactly what you are looking for, you will easily walk right past it. The exterior is completely shrouded in an intimidating monolithic black metal lattice, which is mathematically patterned after traditional Edo-era kimono motifs. When your black car pulls up to the heavy wooden doors, you do not enter a bustling lobby. You enter a dimly lit, silent stone vestibule, and this is exactly where the profound psychological friction begins. The very first interaction you have with the staff is not the handing over of a platinum credit card. It is the immediate, mandatory confiscation of your footwear. Hashinoya Tokyo operates strictly as a traditional Japanese ryokan, which means the absolute first rule of engagement is that street shoes are strictly forbidden past the entryway. Your expensive designer leather loafers or custom-made Italian heels are politely but firmly taken from you and locked away in a massive wall of towering, intricately carved chestnut and bamboo wooden cubbies. For the ultimate American tourist, this initial step is incredibly jarring. In Western luxury, your footwear is a critical component of your social armor and your status projection. Stripping that away the moment you arrive is a deliberate architectural and psychological tactic designed to enforce humility and completely reset your baseline expectations. From this exact moment forward, your feet will only touch fragrant, hand-woven Igusa tatami mats. The tatami flooring does not just cover the guest rooms. It continuously blankets every single square inch of the property, including the hallways, the communal spaces, and most shockingly to American guests, the interior floors of the elevators. You will spend your entire stay walking around in specialized tabi socks or completely barefoot. This radical flooring strategy is just the foundational layer of what architects call a vertical ryokan. Historical trends in Japanese hospitality dictate that a true ryokan is a sprawling, single-story estate nestled deep in a rural forest or perched on a remote mountainside. Hashinoya achieved the impossible by vertically stacking this ancient hospitality format into a highly engineered, 17-story high-rise building. When the sliding elevator doors open on your designated floor, you do not step into a long, anonymous hotel corridor lined with hundreds of identical doors. You step into an exclusive, highly restricted micro-ecosystem. Each floor contains a maximum of only 6 guest rooms, and these rooms are all connected by a central, communal living space known as an Akanoma lounge. This lounge is strictly accessible only to the guests holding keys for that specific floor. It operates as a semi-private extension of your suite, staffed by a dedicated attendant who rigorously anticipates your daily rhythms. Depending on the exact hour of the day, this attendant will silently prepare seasonal Japanese teas, arrange localized wagashi confectionaries, or pour premium evening sake. The potential outcomes of this hyper-segmented architectural layout are profound. You are completely insulated from the overwhelming scale of the hotel, You will rarely, if ever, see another guest outside of your immediate floor. This creates an atmosphere of suffocating, absolute privacy that high-profile American tourists, global celebrities, and senior executives actively seek out to escape the relentless public visibility of central Tokyo. However, this extreme privacy comes with a rigid, uncompromising set of operational rules that actively punish the unprepared traveler. Imagine if David, a high-profile venture capitalist from Chicago, books a stay at Hoshinoya, Tokyo in the current year of 2026. David is biologically and culturally accustomed to utilizing luxury hotel lobbies as dynamic, high-energy networking hubs. He finalizes a massive investment deal in the nearby Marunouchi district and casually invites 3 of his new Japanese business partners back to his hotel for a celebratory round of vintage whiskey in the lobby lounge. When David arrives at the heavy wooden doors of Hoshinoya, Tokyo with his guests, he is immediately intercepted by the gatekeepers. He quickly discovers that this property operates as a completely closed, impenetrable ecosystem. There is no public bar. There is no public restaurant. Absolutely no non-registered guests are permitted to cross the threshold under any circumstances, regardless of their immense wealth, their corporate status, or David's willingness to pay exorbitant tab fees. The staff will politely, yet immovably, deny entry to his colleagues. David experiences a massive, humiliating loss of face in front of his new international partners because he failed to understand that a traditional ryokan is considered a private, sacred sanctuary, not a commercial thoroughfare. Case studies of elite corporate travelers repeatedly highlight this exact friction point. If you intend to host ad hoc business meetings, entertain locals, or showcase your wealth through extravagant public dinners on the property, Hoshinoya, Tokyo is mathematically the worst possible choice in the entire city. It is explicitly designed for deep introspection, physical isolation, and total disconnection from the outside corporate world. To further enforce this total disconnection from the Western corporate machine, the hotel aggressively encourages the shedding of your standard wardrobe. Upon entering your room, which is a masterclass in minimalist design featuring shoji paper screens, low-slung wooden furniture, and ultra-plush futon bedding resting on raised wooden platforms, you will find custom-designed jersey fabric kimonos. Unlike the thin, generic terry cloth bathrobes found in standard American luxury chains, these highly tailored garments are explicitly designed to be worn throughout the entirety of your stay. You are actively encouraged to wear this traditional garb to your in-room breakfast, in the tatami-lined elevators, in the Akonoma Lounge, and even outside the building for a short, meditative walk around the Imperial Palace Gardens. By subtly coercing guests to adopt a uniform style of traditional dress, the ryokan effectively eliminates the visual hierarchy of wealth that dominates Western luxury spaces. You are no longer an American CEO in a bespoke tailored suit. You are simply a guest of the house, equal to everyone else on your floor. You must completely submit to their ancient rhythms and schedules to extract any value from the exorbitant nightly rate. Once you have fully surrendered to the barefoot tatami existence, accepted the rigid isolation of the vertical ryokan, and donned the traditional kimono, you are finally mentally prepared to experience the absolute pinnacle of this property's offerings. Hidden away on the very top floor, the 17th level, lies a profound architectural anomaly that defies all logic of modern urban engineering. It is an authentic, mineral-rich, open-air hot spring onsen, drawing highly saline water pumped from over 1,500 meters beneath the Tokyo concrete directly into the sky. But accessing this steaming subterranean water requires passing the most stringent, non-negotiable physical and biological compliance checks in Japanese culture. If you have even a single drop of ink on your skin, or if you hesitate at the absolute legally enforced requirement of complete and total public nudity, you will be permanently banished from experiencing the single most transformative physical recovery system available within the Japanese luxury market. The concept of the traditional onsen or natural hot spring is the absolute bedrock of Japanese wellness and physical decompression, but it operates on a set of cultural mandates that violently clash with Western sensibilities. Historical trends in Japanese society have inextricably linked permanent body ink with organized crime syndicates. While the globalized world has fully embraced tattoos as standard personal expression or high fashion, the elite Japanese hospitality sector remains overwhelmingly rigid in its historical interpretation. This is not a flexible guideline. It is a hard, impenetrable boundary. Furthermore, the American cultural reliance on swimwear as a modesty barrier is strictly forbidden. You must enter the water in a state of absolute, unadulterated nature. The psychological friction this creates for the ultimate American tourist is massive, but failing to comply means completely missing the architectural crown jewel of the Hoshinoya Tokyo experience. Imagine if Jessica, a top-producing luxury real estate broker from Miami, Florida, decides to reward herself with a solo trip to Tokyo in the current year of 2026. She is incredibly successful, highly confident, and accustomed to leveraging her wealth to bypass rules. She has a tiny, purely decorative 2-inch floral tattoo on her lower ankle. After an exhausting day of corporate meetings in the Marunouchi district, she heads to the 17th floor of the Hoshinoya, expecting a relaxing evening in the thermal waters. She is immediately intercepted by the spa attendants who politely, but immovably, inform her of the strict no-tattoo policy. Jessica attempts to negotiate. She offers to cover it with a bandage. She explains it has no criminal association. She even attempts to leverage her exorbitant nightly room rate as a bargaining chip. The potential outcomes of this negotiation are absolutely zero. The staff will bow deeply, apologize profusely for the inconvenience, and permanently deny her entry. Japanese luxury hospitality prioritizes the collective harmony and traditional atmosphere of the communal space far above the individual financial power of a single foreign guest. Jessica retreats to her room, deeply frustrated and entirely locked out of the hotel's primary physical amenity, simply because she failed to research the non-negotiable biological compliance laws of authentic Japanese bathing culture. For those who do pass the physical compliance checks, the procedure for entering the hot spring is a meticulous, step-by-step ritual that must be executed flawlessly. You do not simply walk into the water. Upon entering the gender-segregated bathing area, you must first proceed to a low wooden stool situated in front of a personal washing station equipped with a hand bucket and a shower head. You are expected to rigorously and thoroughly scrub every single inch of your body with soap and water before your foot ever touches the communal bath. This pre-wash ritual is a vital sign of respect to the other guests and a mandatory public health measure. You are provided with a tiny rectangular modesty towel, but this towel is strictly prohibited from touching the actual hot spring water. Most experienced guests fold it neatly and balance it on top of their heads while soaking. The Hoshinoya Tokyo Onsen is an engineering marvel. They literally drilled 1,500 meters beneath the dense concrete of the Otemakai Financial District to tap into an ancient, amber-colored, hypersaline subterranean aquifer. This intensely mineral-rich water is pumped directly up to the top floor and flows into a breathtaking open-air chamber. The roof is completely open to the sky, allowing the cool Tokyo night air to drift down, while you sit submerged in water hovering around 104 degrees Fahrenheit. The high salinity of the water acts as a massive thermal insulator, driving heat deep into your core, aggressively expanding your blood vessels, and effectively neutralizing the deep muscle fatigue associated with severe jet lag and excessive urban walking. It is a profound, silent, and deeply introspective experience that mathematically accelerates your physical recovery, provided you can fully surrender to the intense vulnerability of the environment. Now that we have deeply analyzed the physical, geographic, and architectural baselines of the Aman Tokyo, the Grand Hyatt Roppongi, and the Hoshinoya Tokyo, we must immediately pivot to the single most complex, highly volatile, and financially dangerous variable of your entire Japanese expedition. We must address elite culinary access. American tourists fundamentally operate under the assumption that premium capital guarantees premium access. In New York, Los Angeles, or Miami, if you possess a high-limit credit card and a willingness to spend heavily on vintage champagne, you can typically brute force your way into any exclusive dining room in the city. In Tokyo, this aggressive financial strategy is completely useless. Tokyo possesses more Michelin-starred establishments than Paris, but these are not sprawling, high-volume dining halls. The absolute pinnacle of Japanese gastronomy is found in micro-restaurants, often hidden deep within the basement levels of nondescript commercial office buildings, seating a maximum of 6 to 8 patrons per night. Historical trends indicate that these master chefs actively prioritize long-standing, multi-generational relationships over short-term foreign capital. They do not have English menus. They do not accommodate dietary substitutions. They strictly serve an omakase menu, which translates to respectfully leaving the dining choices entirely in the hands of the chef. Case studies of wealthy United States tourists repeatedly expose a catastrophic failure to secure reservations at these elite counters because they attempt to book them independently online, or they wait until they arrive in the country to ask their hotel for help. If you employ this amateur strategy, your potential outcomes are limited to massive, generic tourist traps, or standard hotel lobby fare. To penetrate this invisible culinary fortress, you must leverage the highly specific relational power of your chosen hotel's concierge team months in advance. The Grand Hyatt relies on its immense volume of corporate networking power to secure seats. The Aman utilizes its profound global brand prestige to open doors, and the Hashinoya provides access to highly guarded, traditional Japanese culinary networks that simply do not interact with the Western internet. However, even if your concierge successfully secures your position at a legendary, highly restricted sushi counter, you are entirely vulnerable to making a catastrophic financial error at the exact moment the meal concludes. Accessing these culinary fortresses requires navigating a payment and gratuity system that completely contradicts every single financial instinct an American possesses. In fact, if you attempt to leave a standard 20% tip after a life-changing multi-thousand-dollar omakase dinner, you will not only deeply insult the master chef and shatter the cultural harmony of the room, but you will trigger a highly uncomfortable public confrontation that will follow you all the way back to the concierge desk of your luxury hotel. This is not a slight misunderstanding. It is a severe cultural transgression. In the United States, tipping is the fundamental economic engine of the service industry. It is a direct financial reward for superior performance and a critical supplement to a server's baseline income. In Japan, the cultural philosophy of omotenashi dictates that providing flawless, mathematically perfect service is simply the baseline standard of professional existence. It is a matter of profound personal pride and institutional honor. When an American tourist attempts to slide a $100 bill across the pristine hinoki wood counter of a legendary sushi master, the unspoken implication is that the chef requires additional financial motivation to perform his craft properly. This is deeply offensive. Imagine if Michael, a high-frequency trading executive from Wall Street, visits Tokyo in the current year of 2026. He manages to secure a highly coveted reservation at an 8-seat tempura restaurant in Ginza through the elite networking power of the Aman Tokyo concierge. The meal is an absolute revelation, a flawless symphony of seasonal ingredients executed with terrifying precision. Michael is overwhelmed by the experience and, acting entirely on his American financial instincts, leaves 3 crisp $100 bills on the counter as he exits, assuming he is cementing his status as a high-value, respected patron. The potential outcomes of this action are disastrous. The restaurant staff will immediately stop their precise cleanup protocols, grab the money, and literally sprint down the street to intercept Michael before he reaches the subway station, aggressively bowing and forcing the cash back into his hands in full view of the public. They will appear deeply distressed, not grateful. But the friction does not end on the street. The master chef will immediately place a highly formal phone call to the Aman Tokyo concierge desk. The chef will politely, but firmly, express profound disappointment that the hotel sent a guest who fundamentally disrespects Japanese dining etiquette. Because Tokyo operates entirely on a relational economy, the concierge team now suffers a massive loss of professional face. Historical trends indicate that elite, high-demand micro-restaurants will simply blacklist international hotel concierge desks if they repeatedly send culturally uncalibrated tourists. Your single, well-intentioned attempt at American generosity could mathematically destroy the Aman Tokyo's ability to secure that specific restaurant for any future guests. This is precisely why you must thoroughly study and adopt the local financial protocols before engaging with high-end Japanese commerce. Your capital does not protect you from cultural excommunication. Once you have navigated the perilous, high-stakes environment of elite evening dining, you must immediately prepare yourself for the massive psychological shock awaiting you the very next morning. We must rigorously analyze the breakfast paradigm at our 3 chosen luxury properties, because the American morning routine is perhaps the most inflexible cultural habit travelers bring overseas. The ultimate American tourist demands absolute volume and immediate accessibility upon waking. We are biologically conditioned to expect sprawling, limitless buffets featuring custom omelet stations, towering piles of crispy bacon, vast arrays of fresh pastries, and bottomless cups of highly caffeinated drip coffee. When you wake up in a premium suite in Tokyo, your expectations are about to collide violently with Japanese culinary precision. At the Aman Tokyo, the morning culinary operation is an exercise in extreme, calculated refinement rather than overwhelming volume. If you bypass the traditional Japanese breakfast option, which we will analyze shortly, and order the standard American breakfast, you will not receive a massive buffet line. You will receive a meticulously curated, highly structured tray. The pastries will be engineered with the exact flakiness of a Parisian boulangerie, the eggs will be sourced from elite, high-welfare farms in Hokkaido, and the coffee will be a precise, pour-over extraction utilizing strictly graded single-origin beans. However, the sheer volume will feel surprisingly restricted to an American accustomed to unlimited consumption. Furthermore, case studies of premium travel receipts reveal that this highly refined, a la carte morning experience at the Aman can easily exceed $75 to $100 per person, per day, fundamentally altering your daily operational budget if you are traveling with a large family. This is precisely where the Grand Hyatt Roppongi provides a massive, high-leverage advantage for the volume-focused American traveler. If you successfully executed the Grand Club private arrival assessment we discussed previously, you possess the keycard access required to unlock the upper floor executive lounge. This lounge mathematically solves the American breakfast problem. It operates on a high-volume, high-efficiency hybrid model, offering continuous, unlimited access to both premium Western breakfast staples and accessible Japanese options in a semi-private, rapid deployment environment. You do not have to wait for meticulous a la carte plating. You can rapidly consume massive amounts of high-quality protein and caffeine, while simultaneously utilizing the high-speed internet to finalize your daily itinerary. The Grand Club Lounge acts as a vital, frictionless staging area for the aggressively scheduled American tourist, completely neutralizing the time and financial bleed associated with formal hotel dining rooms. But what happens when your chosen luxury hotel completely removes the concept of a Western breakfast from its operational reality? This brings us back to the extreme uncompromising ecosystem of Hashinoya Tokyo. Historical trends in traditional Ryokan hospitality mandate that the morning meal is a deeply serious, highly structured continuation of the cultural immersion. There is no bustling morning buffet. There is no bustling dining room at all. Your breakfast is delivered directly to your room by your dedicated floor attendant at a highly specific, pre-arranged time. Imagine if Sarah, a corporate marketing director from Atlanta, wakes up at Hashinoya Tokyo expecting a quick toasted bagel and a massive coffee before a morning temple tour. Instead, her attendant silently slides open the wooden shoji screens and intricately arranges a massive, multi-course traditional Japanese breakfast on the low wooden table. Sarah is presented with heavily grilled saikyo-yaki black cod, an array of intensely pickled seasonal vegetables, a steaming bowl of premium Niigata white rice, rich red miso soup, and most challenging of all, a serving of natto, which consists of highly fermented, fiercely pungent soybeans boasting a sticky, mucilaginous texture. For the uninitiated American palate, natto is an absolute, uncompromising sensory shock. The aroma is aggressive, and the texture is completely alien to Western culinary norms. Sarah, desperate for simple carbohydrates and familiar flavors, finds herself entirely unable to consume the meticulously prepared, highly expensive morning feast. Because Hashinoya strictly enforces its cultural parameters, there is no secret menu of pancakes or bacon she can request as a fallback. She is forced to quietly endure the meal, ultimately leaving the property hungry and frustrated, forced to wander the sterile, corporate streets of Otemakai at 8 in the morning searching desperately for an international coffee chain just to achieve her baseline caloric requirements. This precise scenario plays out constantly for unprepared travelers who book Hashinoya strictly for its visual aesthetic, without understanding the absolute rigidity of its internal operational mandates. You must actively choose your morning operational style with the exact same strategic intensity as you choose your evening dining. However, whether you start your day with Aman's minimalist perfection, the Grand Hyatt's high-volume efficiency, or Hashinoya's uncompromising traditionalism, you will eventually have to step out of the hotel and into the intense, highly scrutinized theater of Japanese luxury retail. And if you attempt to navigate the complex, multi-tiered tax-free purchasing systems of Ginza or Omotesando using the same aggressive, high-friction tactics you use at an American luxury boutique, you are going to trigger an administrative nightmare that could result in your premium luxury goods being heavily penalized, or worse, completely confiscated by aggressive customs agents at Narita International Airport before you are legally allowed to board your 14-hour flight back home. The tax-free shopping system in Japan is not a casual post-purchase rebate program like you might experience when traveling through the European Union. It is a highly regulated, digitally integrated, instantaneous point-of-sale exemption that requires absolute compliance with specific government protocols. Currently, the Japanese consumption tax sits at 10%, which represents a massive financial variable when you are purchasing high-ticket luxury watches in Ginza or vintage designer handbags in Omotesando. The system divides your purchases into two strictly separated categories, which are general goods and consumable goods. General goods include luxury clothing, high-end electronics, and designer leather goods. Consumables include premium matcha tea, rare Japanese whiskeys, and specialized cosmetics. The physical handling of these two categories dictates whether you smoothly glide through airport customs or face a humiliating administrative nightmare. Imagine if Thomas, an investment banker from Chicago, decides to leverage the favorable exchange rate in the current year of 2026 to purchase a $15,000 limited edition timepiece and a massive $5,000 haul of premium Japanese skincare products for his family. He presents his physical passport at the boutique, bypassing the 10% tax, and saving himself a combined $2,000 instantly. The boutique neatly packages the watch, but they seal the skincare products in a highly specific, tamper-evident clear plastic bag secured with heavy red warning tape. Thomas returns to his sprawling suite at the Aman Tokyo. He completely ignores the explicit English warnings printed directly on the exterior of the bag, rips it open to test a small sample of the moisturizer, and casually throws the packaging in the trash. The potential outcomes of this single, seemingly harmless action are disastrous. In the past, tourists simply had paper receipts stapled into their passports. Today, the system is fully digitized. When Thomas arrives at the customs scanning checkpoint at Narita International Airport, the digital footprint of his exact purchases is already locked into the government database, linked directly to his passport microchip. The Japanese customs officers scan his passport and immediately demand to see the physical, unopened consumable items to verify they are actually leaving the country. Because Thomas broke the seal and consumed a portion of the product within the borders of Japan, he has mathematically violated the International Tax Exemption Treaty. He is immediately pulled out of the fast-track security line, heavily interrogated by customs officials using strict translation devices, and forced to pay the massive tax penalty on the spot. He nearly misses his first-class flight and experiences a profound, highly stressful end to his luxury vacation. To prevent this exact catastrophic scenario, you must leverage the highly specialized packing and logistics services offered by our top-tier luxury properties. The Aman Tokyo excels in this specific operational lane. Instead of spending your final night in Tokyo agonizing over how to physically fit your fragile luxury purchases into your hard-shell suitcases without violating customs seals or exceeding airline weight limits, you can request the Aman concierge to dispatch their professional packing team directly to your suite. These individuals possess an encyclopedic knowledge of international travel regulations and airline dimensional limits. They will strategically layer your unsealed general goods, heavily protect your delicate, sealed consumables, and mathematically balance your luggage weight to completely eliminate airport check-in friction. They will even generate a precise, itemized inventory list of your acquisitions, which becomes an invaluable document when you must eventually declare your goods to United States Customs and Border Protection upon landing back in America. Conversely, if you are utilizing the Grand Hyatt Roppongi as your operational base, you are sitting directly on top of a massive, multi-level luxury retail complex. The Grand Hyatt operates with a distinct geographic and logistical advantage for the aggressive American consumer. You can physically carry a dozen shopping bags directly from the high-end boutiques of the Roppongi Hills Mori Tower straight to your hotel room elevator in under 5 minutes. You completely bypass the need to navigate the crowded, overwhelming subway system with thousands of dollars of exposed retail goods. Furthermore, the elite bell staff at the Grand Hyatt can be coordinated to physically meet you at specific boutiques to carry your purchases back to your room while you continue shopping. However, this high-volume retail capacity introduces a critical vulnerability regarding your physical room selection. If you booked a standard room category, your sudden influx of massive shopping bags and oversized luxury boxes will instantly consume the limited square footage, recreating the exact claustrophobic nightmare we warned you to avoid in Part 2 of this masterclass. You must strategically upgrade to an executive suite if your primary objective in Tokyo involves aggressive luxury retail acquisition. Then we must evaluate the extreme, uncompromising friction of Hashinoya Tokyo regarding Western retail consumption. Remember, this specific property operates as a traditional, minimalist vertical ryokan. There is literally no physical space designed to accommodate massive piles of luxury shopping bags. The pure, highly curated aesthetic of your tatami mat room is completely shattered if you line the walls with massive cardboard boxes and plastic shopping bags. Furthermore, attempting to drag heavily loaded, rolling hard-shell suitcases across the delicate, hand-woven tatami flooring is a massive cultural transgression that will deeply upset the ryokan staff and potentially incur heavy damage fees. The storage areas in a traditional ryokan are explicitly designed to hold the provided kimonos and minimal personal effects, not the spoils of a high-end ginza shopping spree. If your trip involves heavy retail therapy, case studies prove that Hashinoya is historically the absolute worst operational choice in the entire city. But let us assume you successfully navigated the digital tax-free system, you respected the tamper-evident consumable bags, and you perfectly utilized the luxury packing services at your chosen hotel. You now have 4 massive, oversized suitcases sitting perfectly arranged in the lobby. Your next destination is Kyoto, which requires a highly synchronized, high-speed journey on the world-famous Shinkansen bullet train. The ultimate American tourist assumes they can simply roll their massive luggage to the train station, purchase a premium green car first-class ticket, and drag their oversized bags onto the train just like they would on an Amtrak line operating on the East Coast of the United States. If you attempt this aggressive, highly independent strategy in Japan today, you are walking directly into a logistical catastrophe that has completely stranded thousands of wealthy international travelers. The Japanese railway system recently implemented a draconian, highly enforced physical dimensional limit on all luggage entering the Takedo Shinkansen network. If the total linear dimensions of your suitcase exceed 160 centimeters, and you fail to execute a highly specialized, advanced booking procedure that only a seasoned luxury concierge knows how to properly navigate, you will be physically denied boarding at the platform. The train will literally leave the station without you. Your highly expensive, non-refundable first-class tickets will be entirely voided, and your carefully meticulously planned itinerary will instantly collapse into chaos. I am going to reveal exactly how to bypass this nightmare by utilizing a hidden, hyper-efficient Japanese infrastructure system that completely eliminates luggage from your travel equation entirely. But if you fill out the required transit forms with even a single incorrect digit, your luxury wardrobe will be sent to a distribution warehouse completely on the other side of the country. The system I am referring to is known domestically as Takaheben, and it is the absolute, undisputed gold standard of domestic logistics on the planet. This nationwide network of highly precise, temperature-controlled delivery trucks fundamentally eliminates the need for any human being to drag heavy luggage across the sprawling Japanese archipelago. For an incredibly reasonable fee, usually hovering around $15 to $25 per massive suitcase, you can drop your luggage at the concierge desk of your Tokyo hotel in the morning, board your bullet train with nothing but a small briefcase, and miraculously find your heavy luggage waiting perfectly positioned inside the closet of your Kyoto luxury suite the very next day. However, this system relies entirely on a complex, carbon copy waybill that is formatted exclusively for the Japanese domestic addressing system. The Japanese addressing matrix does not function on the linear, street-based logic utilized in the United States. Instead, it operates on a deeply nested hierarchy of prefectures, municipalities, wards, districts, city blocks, and finally the specific building number. Imagine if Dr. William, a highly respected cardiovascular surgeon from Boston, Massachusetts, attempts to utilize this system in this current year of 2026. He is an incredibly intelligent man, accustomed to managing highly complex surgical procedures. He decides to bypass the Amon Tokyo concierge desk to save a few moments, walking his 2 heavy, luxury hardshell suitcases directly to a local convenience store that acts as a Takaheben drop-off point. He uses his smartphone translation application to interpret the Japanese waybill and confidently writes down the address of his destination hotel in Kyoto, using the standard American format of street number, street name, and city. He hands over the cash, boards his train, and assumes the process is complete. The potential outcomes of this immense logistical error are devastating. Because the Japanese sorting machines and regional distribution hubs cannot mathematically process an American formatted address, Dr. William has essentially launched his luxury wardrobe into a logistical black hole. His luggage will be automatically flagged as undeliverable and routed to a massive, centralized holding facility located hundreds of miles away in a completely different prefecture. When he arrives in Kyoto, he will possess absolutely nothing but the clothes on his back, forcing him to spend thousands of dollars repurchasing basic necessities and formal wear while initiating a frantic, multi-day retrieval process entirely in a foreign language. Case studies of elite corporate travel highlight that the ultimate American tourist must completely surrender the logistics of luggage forwarding directly to the hotel concierge. Do not attempt to fill out these waybills yourself. If you are staying at the Aman Tokyo, their logistics team will execute this transfer with terrifying precision. You simply leave your packed bags in your suite, notify the front desk, and the entire transaction happens invisibly. They will utilize their proprietary corporate accounts to generate flawlessly printed, digitally verified waybills, effectively guaranteeing the mathematical certainty of your luggage arriving exactly on time. At the Grand Hyatt Roppongi, because of the sheer massive volume of international corporate turnover, they maintain a dedicated, 24-hour luggage logistics counter specifically engineered to process these shipments at rapid speed, ensuring you can finalize your transit plans even at 3 in the morning after a long night of networking. And at Hoshinoya Tokyo, the Ryokan staff will handle your baggage with extreme, traditional reverence, meticulously wrapping the handles to prevent transit damage and ensuring the destination Ryokan in Kyoto is fully prepared to receive your specific physical footprint. Once you have successfully decoupled yourself from your massive luggage, you must now physically transport your own body from the lobby of your luxury hotel to the Shinkansen boarding platform at Tokyo Station. This introduces the next massive point of friction for the American traveler, which is the complete and utter necessity of navigating the Tokyo subway system. In the United States, high-net-worth individuals simply do not take public transportation. They utilize private black car services or rideshare applications to move from point to point. If you attempt to apply this American automotive strategy in central Tokyo, your trip will violently collapse into a nightmare of gridlock traffic and exorbitant financial waste. A simple 3-mile journey across central Tokyo in a luxury taxi during peak business hours can easily take over an hour and cost an astronomical amount of money, while the exact same journey underground takes 12 minutes and costs less than $2. You must utilize the train network, but your experience on this network is heavily dictated by your chosen hotel. If you are operating out of the Aman Tokyo, you are situated directly above the Otemakai subway station, which is one of the most complex, multi-layered subterranean transit hubs on Earth, intersecting 5 distinct major subway lines. While this provides unparalleled geographic access to the entire city, it also presents a massive navigational hazard. The station features dozens of highly specific exits spanning multiple city blocks. If you take exit A5 instead of exit C2, you will surface into a completely disorienting maze of identical corporate skyscrapers, potentially adding 20 minutes of highly stressful walking to your journey. You must demand highly specific, step-by-step subterranean walking maps from the Aman concierge before you ever descend into the Otemakai tunnels. Operating out of the Grand Hyatt Roppongi presents a completely different transit reality. To access the Hibiya subway line from the hotel, you must navigate a massive, multi-level outdoor escalator system, cross a highly trafficked pedestrian plaza, and descend deep into the earth. The Roppongi station is notoriously deep, requiring extensive walking simply to reach the platform. For the American tourist accustomed to stepping directly from a hotel lobby into a waiting vehicle, this daily requirement of extensive, high-speed pedestrian navigation can result in massive physical fatigue before the daily itinerary has even officially begun. You are essentially forced to integrate massive amounts of cardiovascular activity into your daily schedule, simply to leave your immediate neighborhood. The Hoshinoya Tokyo, while geographically close to the massive central hub of Tokyo Station, requires a very specific, quiet walk through the financial district to access the bullet train platforms. You are moving from a space of absolute, hushed traditionalism directly into the single busiest railway terminal in Japan, navigating a chaotic river of hundreds of thousands of daily commuters. This aggressive sensory transition is jarring, and you must maintain absolute situational awareness to find the highly specific, color-coded Shinkansen departure gates hidden within the sprawling commercial complex. But all of these logistical hurdles, from the complexities of luggage forwarding to the aggressive physical demands of subterranean navigation, pale in comparison to the absolute nightmare that unfolds if you experience a severe medical anomaly at 2 in the morning. If you attempt to call a standard American ambulance or simply walk into a local Tokyo clinic demanding immediate attention with your Platinum Corporate Health Insurance card, you will trigger a bureaucratic wall of rejection that could severely compromise your physical well-being. The Japanese medical system is universally recognized as one of the most advanced, mathematically efficient healthcare infrastructures on the planet. However, it operates almost entirely on a strictly nationalized domestic insurance grid. It is not engineered to instantly process foreign corporate health plans at the point of service. Furthermore, historical trends reveal that a vast majority of local Tokyo clinics, and even massive multi-tier urban hospitals, do not maintain fluent English-speaking medical staff on active standby during the late evening hours. They are highly efficient machines built explicitly for the local populace, not for navigating complex international billing codes. Imagine if Christopher, a senior technology executive from Silicon Valley, travels to Tokyo in this current year of 2026. He decides to venture far outside the protective radius of his luxury hotel in Roppongi to sample highly authentic, deeply local street food in a remote, non-tourist ward. At 2 in the morning, back in his sprawling suite, he experiences a severe, rapidly escalating allergic reaction to an undisclosed ingredient. Acting entirely on his American instincts, Christopher bypasses the hotel concierge and uses his smartphone to dial the local emergency number, requesting an ambulance directly to his location. When the paramedics arrive, a terrifying communication breakdown immediately occurs. They cannot accurately understand his specific medical history, they cannot verify his international insurance, and critically, under Japanese medical protocols, they are legally prohibited from transporting a patient to an emergency room until a receiving hospital explicitly accepts the case over the radio dispatch. Christopher spends 45 agonizing minutes sitting in the back of a parked ambulance while paramedics sequentially call dozens of hospitals. They repeatedly face rejection because the facilities either lack mandated English translation protocols or are deeply hesitant to accept the immense financial liability of an uninsured foreign national experiencing an acute crisis. This catastrophic, highly stressful scenario perfectly illustrates why your chosen luxury hotel must serve as your immediate, primary medical liaison. When you operate out of the Amon Tokyo, their elite concierge team acts as a highly integrated translation and logistics bridge between you and the Japanese medical infrastructure. If you experience a medical anomaly, you absolutely do not call the local authorities. You immediately call the front desk. They possess direct, pre-established relationships with high-end, English-speaking private clinics in the central business districts. They will dispatch a medically trained, English-speaking staff member to your suite instantly, and more importantly, they will pre-coordinate your exact arrival at the hospital, completely bypassing the dreaded ambulance rejection loop. However, this elite logistical support does not shield you from the harsh financial reality of international medical care. The potential outcomes of an emergency room visit in Tokyo require immediate, out-of-pocket capital. American tourists are often shocked to discover that even the most prestigious, internationally focused hospitals demand full payment in cash or by a high-limit credit card before you are legally permitted to exit the building. They will not directly bill your American insurance provider. You must physically pay the entire invoice, which can easily reach tens of thousands of dollars for complex diagnostics, overnight observation, and specialized pharmacology. You must then spend months fighting your domestic insurance company for a partial reimbursement. This is precisely why engaging with a dedicated, high-tier travel insurance policy that provides direct-to-hospital payment architecture is an absolute necessity, not an optional luxury, when traveling to Japan. Beyond emergency hospital visits, the ultimate American tourist must also understand the profound legal friction surrounding basic, over-the-counter pharmaceuticals. Historical trends show that many common American sinus medications, allergy pills, and strictly prescribed stimulants are legally classified as banned substances under Japanese law. If you ask the Amon or Grand Hyatt concierge to procure a seemingly harmless American cold medicine because you forgot to pack yours, they will mathematically refuse, as doing so would violate federal narcotics laws. You must rely entirely on Japanese equivalents, which operate on significantly lower dosage parameters. If you are operating out of the Grand Hyatt Roppongi, you possess a distinct, high-leverage geographic advantage regarding medical emergencies. Because of the massive volume of foreign expatriates, diplomats, and international corporate executives living continuously within the Roppongi Hills complex, the hotel is surrounded by a dense, highly sophisticated network of internationally certified physicians and dental surgeons. The concierge can literally walk you down a private commercial corridor into a state-of-the-art clinic that explicitly caters to Western medical standards, Western diagnostic procedures, and Western pharmaceutical preferences. This proximity drastically reduces the friction of seeking non-emergency medical care, allowing you to quickly resolve minor ailments without losing an entire day of your meticulously planned itinerary to hospital waiting rooms. Conversely, at Hashinoya, Tokyo, the traditional ryokan environment presents a highly unique operational challenge regarding medical preparedness. While the staff is deeply attentive and rigorously trained in emergency protocols, the intense privacy, structural isolation, and hushed atmosphere of the vertical structure mean you must be highly proactive. You must clearly articulate any pre-existing conditions or severe allergies to your dedicated floor attendant upon the very moment of your arrival. The Ryokan operates on a philosophy of deep, anticipatory care, constantly monitoring your rhythms, but they cannot mathematically anticipate a sudden medical crisis unless they have been explicitly briefed on your specific biological vulnerabilities. The serene isolation that makes the property so desirable also means you are slightly further removed from the immediate, high-volume international clinics found in Roppongi, making the concierge translation abilities even more critical. Assuming you have survived the profound physical exhaustion of jet lag, mastered the complex subterranean transit grids without losing your luggage, fully optimized your high-end luxury retail acquisition strategies, and successfully avoided a catastrophic medical billing nightmare, your expedition is finally drawing to a close. You have experienced the absolute pinnacle of Japanese hospitality, dining, and cultural immersion. But the psychological friction of this high-stakes journey does not end when you perfectly pack your suitcases and arrange your airport transfer. In fact, the absolute most dangerous financial and emotional variable of the entire trip occurs at the exact moment you approach the front desk to execute your final checkout procedure. American tourists are culturally conditioned to view the hotel checkout as a frictionless, 5-second transaction. We expect to simply drop our plastic room keys on the counter, grab a rapidly printed paper receipt, and jump into a waiting vehicle, casually assuming the initially quoted nightly rate perfectly matches the final credit card authorization. But in the hyper-precise, highly structured and deeply regulated world of Japanese luxury hospitality, the final invoice is a highly complex mathematical document. It is heavily layered with specialized municipal accommodation taxes, mandatory onsen bathing taxes, hidden service charges, and extremely rigid operational fees that can mathematically obliterate your remaining travel budget in seconds. Furthermore, if you locate a discrepancy and casually attempt to dispute a single line item using the aggressive, confrontational tactics commonly utilized in American customer service disputes, you will instantly trigger a silent, unyielding operational lockdown that could result in you missing your meticulously scheduled airport transfer, losing your highly coveted premium seating on your international flight, and ultimately facing thousands of dollars in immediate, non-refundable rebooking fees. The fundamental cultural difference regarding customer service conflict resolution between the United States and Japan is massive and entirely unforgiving. In the American hospitality sector, there is a pervasive operational philosophy that the customer is always right. If an American tourist disputes a $75 minibar charge at a luxury resort in Miami, the front desk manager will typically just immediately remove the charge from the final folio to appease the guest, avoid a loud public confrontation in the lobby, and keep the checkout line moving rapidly. In Japan, the concept of omotenashi dictates that providing mathematically perfect service is the ultimate goal, which means the final invoice is considered a flawless, heavily audited financial document. The staff literally cannot simply erase a mathematically recorded charge just because you raise your voice. They are institutionally required to find the absolute factual truth of the transaction. Imagine if Jonathan, a high-powered corporate litigator from New York, approaches the checkout desk at the Aman Tokyo in the current year of 2026. Jonathan has a flight departing from Narita International Airport in exactly 3 hours. He receives his final printed folio and notices a $200 charge for a premium bottle of Japanese whiskey from the in-room bar that he absolutely swears he did not consume. Operating on his aggressive American instincts, Jonathan raises his voice, leans over the counter, and forcefully demands the charge be immediately stripped from his bill. He expects the staff to cower and instantly comply. The potential outcomes of this aggressive strategy are entirely counterproductive. The Aman Tokyo staff will not yield. Instead, his confrontation triggers a highly formal, incredibly slow forensic investigation. The front desk associate will bow deeply, apologize for the discrepancy, and immediately summon the senior duty manager. The manager will then dispatch a dedicated floor supervisor to physically enter Jonathan's suite, cross-reference the electronic weight sensors in the automated beverage cabinet, pull the digital keycard access logs for the past 24 hours to see exactly who entered the room, and interview the specific housekeeping staff assigned to his floor. This rigorous, multi-tiered internal audit is not designed to insult Jonathan. It is designed to maintain the absolute operational integrity of the hotel. However, this meticulous process takes 45 agonizing minutes. Jonathan is forced to stand in the hushed, serene lobby, Visibly sweating and rapidly checking his designer watch as his carefully planned airport transit window completely collapses. He ultimately misses his luxury black car service, is forced to navigate the chaotic public train system with his massive luggage, and experiences a severe, panic-inducing sprint through the airport security terminal. To completely avoid this operational lockdown, the ultimate American tourist must understand exactly how to mathematically decode the hidden layers of Japanese hospitality, billing before they ever step up to the final checkout counter. You must proactively calculate three massive financial variables that are almost never clearly advertised on the initial third-party booking websites. First, you must account for the strict municipal accommodation tax mandated by the Tokyo Metropolitan Government. This is a daily, per-person surcharge that scales aggressively depending on the baseline tier of your luxury suite. Second, and most surprisingly for American tourists, is the mandatory institutional service charge. Because tipping is culturally forbidden and deeply offensive in Japan, luxury properties legally append a non-negotiable 15 to 18% service fee to absolutely every single transaction you execute on the property. This massive percentage applies to your nightly room rate, your multi-thousand-dollar omakase dinners, your highly specialized concierge logistics fees, and even your basic laundry services. When you review your final folio, this compounding service charge can easily add thousands of dollars to your anticipated budget. Finally, if you chose to immerse yourself in the extreme traditionalism of Hashinoya Tokyo, you will encounter a highly specific, legally enforced municipal bathing tax known as the Nutozii. Because the property features an authentic, mineral-rich subterranean hot spring, local tax laws dictate that every single registered guest must pay this daily public bathing fee, regardless of whether you actually physically entered the water or whether you were denied entry due to the strict biological compliance rules regarding tattoos we discussed earlier. You cannot negotiate this tax. It is a rigid legal mandate. Once you have calmly, respectfully, and mathematically settled your final folio without triggering a forensic audit, you are finally prepared to experience the absolute pinnacle of the Japanese departure ritual. The way a luxury property orchestrates your physical exit from their ecosystem is the ultimate test of their operational prowess. If you are departing from the high-volume, aggressively corporate environment of the Grand Hyatt Roppongi, the exit is a masterpiece of rapid-fire efficiency. Because they manage thousands of elite business travelers weekly, their Bell staff operates like a highly synchronized military unit. They will have your massive, oversized luggage perfectly staged in the exact sequence it needs to be loaded into your waiting vehicle, ensuring you can transition from the checkout counter to the highway in under 3 minutes, allowing you to maximize every possible second of your corporate networking schedule. If you are departing from the Amon Tokyo, the departure ritual is almost entirely invisible, relying on their profound ability to anticipate your movement. You will never see your luggage in the lobby. Their logistics team will seamlessly extract your carefully packed suitcases from your suite and securely load them into the trunk of your reserved, climate-controlled luxury sedan long before you even step into the elevator. When you finally descend to the ground floor, your dedicated vehicle will be idling perfectly in the hidden subterranean driveway, the doors already open, completely isolating you from the chaotic street-level energy of the Otemakai Financial District. But the most profound, emotionally resonant departure sequence exists entirely within the uncompromising, barefoot ecosystem of Hashinoya Tokyo. When your private car arrives at the intimidating, black metal lattice exterior of the Ryokan, the entire staff dynamic shifts. The very attendants who silently cater to your specific daily rhythms, who delivered your intricate traditional breakfasts, and who rigorously enforce the complex cultural rules of the property, will gather at the heavy wooden entrance doors. As you finally step back into your American street shoes and slide into the back seat of your vehicle, the staff will form a precise line on the pristine pavement. As your car begins to pull away, they will execute a deep, highly formalized 45-degree bow. They will not break this bow after a few seconds. Historical trends in traditional Ryokan hospitality mandate that the staff must hold this exact position, completely motionless, until your vehicle physically turns the corner and completely disappears from their line of sight. It is a staggering display of deep respect, profound discipline, and ultimate submission to the guest experience. It is the exact moment when the immense psychological friction, the rigorous cultural compliance, and the exorbitant financial cost of your Japanese expedition instantly crystallize into a memory of unparalleled, uncompromising luxury. You lean back into the premium leather seats of your airport transfer, watching the sprawling, neon-lit concrete canyons of Tokyo blur past your tinted windows. You have successfully navigated the microscopic square footage dilemmas, you have penetrated the invisible culinary fortresses, and you have mathematically conquered the complex domestic logistics grid. You are heading toward Narita International Airport, feeling like an absolute master of international travel. But the psychological warfare of this high-stakes journey is far from over. You are about to walk directly into the most intensely scrutinized, highly regulated aviation environment on the planet. Next time, we are aggressively deconstructing the hidden access codes of the international first-class lounges, revealing exactly how to bypass the brutal hours-long premium security lines, and exposing the massive, highly penalized mistakes American tourists make when declaring their newly acquired luxury goods to the United States Customs and Border Protection agents upon landing back on American soil.